I'm sorry, but first class is not for people like you.
Step back. First class isn't for people like you. The sentence cut through gate B12 at Fee Sky Harbor like a blade. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Every word landed clean, sharp, intentional. The boarding area froze for half a second. Then everything kept moving. Rolling suitcases, distant announcements, the low hum of travel. Life continuing as if nothing had just happened. Except something had. Ashley Carter stood squarely at the entrance to the jet bridge. Her Navy uniform was pressed to perfection. Not a wrinkle, not a mistake. Her posture straight, chin slightly lifted, a woman used to being obeyed. In front of her stood an elderly couple. Robert Johnson, 72, stood tall, his shoulders still broad despite the years. His hand rested on the handle of a worn leather carry-on, the kind of bag that had seen decades of careful use. His grip was steady, but tighter than it needed to be. Beside him, Evelyn Johnson, 69, held her boarding pass with both hands. Her fingers trembled just slightly, not weakness, recognition. She had seen this before. Not this exact moment, but this pattern, this script, different place, same message. "Mom," Evelyn said softly, her voice gentle, measured. "Our tickets show seats 2A and 2B. Ashley didn't check. She snatched the boarding pass out of Evelyn's hands. Quick, efficient, like removing something that didn't belong. Then she tore it. The sound was dry, clean, final. Paper ripping in a quiet room. A businessman nearby lowered his phone mid-call. A child stopped fidgeting. A few people turned, then quickly looked away. Ashley let the torn pieces fall into her hand. "I don't care what your tickets say," she replied. Her voice was calm now, controlled, almost bored. "I care about what you can actually afford." A beat. "And people like you don't afford first class." No one spoke. Silence has weight. And in moments like this, it presses down on everyone in the room. Robert's jaw tightened, just slightly, a small shift in the muscle along his cheek. But when he spoke, his voice stayed even. "We paid for those seats. Our son bought them for us." Ashley let out a short laugh, no warmth in it.
Your son?
She tilted her head, studying them. "Let me guess. A doctor? A lawyer? That's what people always say." She turned without waiting for an answer. "Kevin," she called over her shoulder. "Print new boarding passes, economy, and separate them." Kevin Brooks, 31, stood behind the counter. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He hesitated. Just a second. His eyes flicked toward the couple, then back to Ashley. He had seen situations like this before, enough to know how they ended. Ashley was his supervisor. This job paid his rent. The printer chirped. 2 new boarding passes slid out. Kevin picked them up, walked forward, held them out to Evelyn. She looked down. Row 34F, row 36B, 2 seats. Nowhere near each other, the very back of the plane, where the air feels heavier, where the engine noise never fades, where people go when there are no other options left. Evelyn didn't speak. She nodded once, a small, controlled movement. Robert looked at her, a brief glance, but enough. 52 years together. They had learned how to communicate without words. Don't react. Don't give them what they expect. Ashley flicked her wrist toward the jet bridge. There. Problem solved. Her voice carried just far enough for others to hear. Next time, maybe consider flying somewhere that fits your budget. Still, no one stepped in. Some people watched. Some recorded quietly. Most looked down at their phones. Avoidance is easier than confrontation. At the edge of the gate area, Sophia Martinez leaned against the wall. 35. Ground crew supervisor. Radio clipped to her shoulder. She had seen things like this before. Not always this obvious. Usually cleaner, hidden behind policy, behind technical language. But the pattern was the same. Someone decides who belongs and who doesn't. Her fingers slid into her pocket. She pulled out her phone, paused. Her thumb hovered over the screen. 1 second, 2. Then she pressed record. Robert and Evelyn began to walk. Slow, steady. Passengers shifted aside without being asked, creating space, not out of respect, out of discomfort. Robert kept his eyes forward. Evelyn looked down, but her steps didn't falter. They moved through the first-class cabin. Soft leather seats, warm lighting, polished surfaces, Champagne glasses catching the light. Seats 2A and 2B already occupied. A man reading the Wall Street Journal. A woman sipping champagne. Neither looked up, neither asked, neither wanted to know. Keep moving, Ashley called from behind them, her voice light, satisfied. The curtain between first class and economy closed behind them. Like a door, like a verdict. The space changed instantly, seats tighter, ceiling lower, air thicker. Evelyn reached out, brushing her fingers against the back of a seat, as if grounding herself, as if confirming this was real. Robert placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "You okay?" he whispered. Evelyn nodded, but her eyes stayed fixed ahead. Some memories don't need words. They live in the body. 50 years ago, a store, a seat, a look, different place. Same feeling. The past doesn't disappear, it waits. Kevin stood at the front, watching them disappear into the cabin. His throat tightened. He knew this wasn't right. He also knew he had done nothing to stop it. Ashley adjusted the small metal wings pinned to her uniform. 12 years in the job. She believed she could read people instantly. Who belonged, who didn't. Behind her, boarding resumed. Normal, efficient, controlled. High above the desert, a private jet began its descent. Inside, a man glanced at his phone. Daniel Johnson, 42, calm, precise. The kind of presence that doesn't need to announce itself. 2 missed calls. Mom, Dad. He frowned slightly. Not worry, habit. He typed quickly, landing soon. See you at the gate. He had no idea. No one on Flight 447 had any idea that in less than 30 minutes, everything would change. The aisle felt narrower than it should. Robert paused for half a second as the line behind them pressed forward. A man in a suit cleared his throat. Not loud, just enough. Keep moving. That was the unspoken rule. Evelyn shifted first, her steps careful now. The kind of careful that comes when your joints have already been pushed too far. The kind of careful that people don't notice unless they've lived long enough to feel it. Row 34F. She stopped, a middle seat. Between a broad man who had already claimed both armrests and a teenage boy with headphones on, music leaking into the air in a thin, constant hiss. Evelyn looked at the seat, then at the narrow space she would have to slide into. She didn't complain, she just breathed in once. Slow. Robert watched her from the aisle, 2 rows ahead, row 36B. Also a middle seat, a crying baby to his right, a man with a sharp cologne to his left, already shifting away as if space was something he needed to protect. They stood there for a moment, not moving, not sitting, just looking at each other across the distance. 52 years. That was how long they had learned to read silence. "I'll be fine," Evelyn's eyes said. "I know," Robert's eyes answered. But knowing didn't make it easier. "Sir, you need to take your assigned seat," a voice cut in. Kevin. He had followed them down the aisle. His face was tight, his voice careful, trying to sound official, trying not to sound human. "We're both over 70, Robert said quietly, his tone steady, not pleading, just stating a fact. "We take care of each other. Sitting apart is not ideal." Kevin swallowed. He knew, he could see it. He also knew he had no authority to change it. "I understand, sir," he said, "but the assignments are final. Final." The word landed heavier than it should. Evelyn slid into the seat. The large man beside her didn't move his arm, not even an inch. The teenager didn't look up. Music still playing, world still moving. Robert stepped back, giving her space. He wanted to help. He couldn't. He turned and made his way to his seat. Each step felt longer than the last. "Excuse me. Sorry." He said it automatically, even when no one made room. He reached row 36, sat down. The baby cried again, sharp, high, uncontrolled. The woman holding it looked exhausted. Eyes red, hair pulled back too tight. "I'm sorry," she whispered to no one in particular. Robert nodded. "It's all right," he said gently. "Babies cry." The man on his left shifted again. Irritated. Robert leaned back, closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them. 2 rows ahead, he could see the top of Evelyn's head. That was all. Not her face. Not her eyes. Just enough to know she was there, and not enough to reach her. At the front of the cabin, Ashley stood with her arms crossed, watching, observing her work. Everything was in order. 2 passengers who didn't belong had been corrected, placed where they should be, the system restored. She turned slightly, catching Kevin's eye. You handled that fine, she said. Kevin nodded, but something in his face didn't settle. Fine didn't feel like the right word. The plane door closed, a soft thud, sealed. The outside world cut off. Inside, the air changed. Pressurized, contained. No more exits. The intercom crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Flight 447 to Atlanta. The captain's voice was calm. Practiced. Estimated flight time, 4 hours. Robert barely listened. His focus was forward, always forward, 2 rows ahead. Evelyn shifted in her seat. The space was tight, too tight. Her knee pressed against the seat in front, her shoulder pinned. The man beside her exhaled loudly, annoyed. She folded her hands in her lap, still, composed, her breathing shallow now. She knew that feeling. Stress, pressure. Her joints were first. A dull ache, then sharper, then constant. She closed her eyes, not to sleep, to steady herself. A memory surfaced, a classroom, children laughing, her voice reading aloud, a different life. A different room, where she had control, where she was respected. She opened her eyes, back to the present, back to the seat. Excuse me, she said softly. No one answered. She tried again. Excuse me. The man beside her shifted slightly. What? Could I have some water, please? He pointed forward with his chin. They'll come around. She nodded, waited. Minutes passed. The cabin settled into that strange quiet that comes before takeoff. Seat belts clicked, overhead bins shut. A low hum built under everything. Evelyn's hands trembled slightly. She reached into her purse, pulled out a small bottle, medication. She looked at it, then forward again. No water. 2 rows back, Robert noticed. He raised his hand. A young flight attendant approached. Not Ashley. Another one. Jessica, early 20s. Nervous eyes. Yes, sir. My wife needs some water for her medication, he said. She's in row 34. Jessica glanced forward, then back at him. I'll check, she said. She moved quickly, not confidently, but with intention. At the front, Ashley intercepted her. What are you doing? Passenger needs water. Service hasn't started yet. She needs it for medication. Ashley's expression didn't change. People say that all the time. Jessica hesitated, then nodded, turned back, returned empty-handed. Sir, she said quietly. They'll bring it during service. Robert looked at her. Really looked. He saw the hesitation, the conflict, the fear. Thank you, he said anyway. Jessica nodded, walked away. Evelyn unscrewed the cap of her medication, looked at the pills, then swallowed, dry. Her throat tightened. She coughed once, then again. The teenager beside her turned the music up slightly, not to help, to ignore. Evelyn closed her eyes, breathed through it. Somewhere in the middle of the cabin, a phone screen lit up. Sophia, still recording, still watching. Her video had already been posted. Comments were starting to appear. Fast. This is wrong. Where is the crew? Someone needs to do something. She refreshed. More views, more shares. The story was moving, faster than the plane. Back in row 36, Robert leaned forward. The baby had stopped crying. The woman holding it looked relieved. Thank you, she whispered to him. He nodded. Ear pressure, he said. It happens. She smiled weakly. You must have kids. 3, he said, and 5 grandkids. Her smile grew. For a moment, something human passed between them. Simple, real, unaffected by everything else. Then the moment ended. Ashley's voice echoed from the front. Prepare for takeoff. Her tone sharp, controlled, authoritative, like nothing had happened, like everything was normal. The plane began to move, slow at first, then faster, engines building, the cabin vibrating slightly. Evelyn gripped the armrests, her knuckles pale, her breathing uneven. 2 rows back, Robert felt it, even without seeing her face. He felt it. The distance between them stretched, not measured in feet, measured in helplessness, measured in everything he could not do. The plane lifted, wheels leaving ground, a brief moment of weightlessness, then steady climb, Phoenix shrinking below, the city fading into lines and light. Inside the cabin, the tension didn't fade. It settled, deeper, heavier, because now there was nowhere to go, no one to call, no place to step away. Just 4 hours. Trapped, together, or rather, separated. And at the front of the plane, Ashley Carter adjusted her uniform once more. Everything exactly where she wanted it. Everything under control. At least, that's what she believed. She didn't see the phone screens lighting up across the cabin, didn't see the messages spreading, didn't hear the quiet shift in the room, didn't understand that control is often an illusion. And sometimes, the moment you feel most certain is the moment everything begins to unravel. The seatbelt sign stayed on longer than usual, or maybe it just felt that way. Time stretches when you are uncomfortable. It stretches even more when you are unseen. Evelyn shifted again, slow, careful, trying not to draw attention. Her knee ached now, not sharp, not sudden, just a deep, steady pressure that spread through her leg and into her lower back, the kind of pain that doesn't scream, the kind that stays. She opened her eyes and looked ahead. The aisle was narrow. People packed close, heads leaned back, eyes closed, or pretending to be. No one looked at her. No one wanted to. 2 rows behind, Robert leaned slightly into the aisle. Just enough to catch a glimpse. He saw her shoulder, the angle of her head, the way her hands were folded too tightly in her lap. He knew that posture. He had seen it before, not in planes, in waiting rooms, in long lines, in places where patience was required because resistance would cost more than silence. He exhaled slowly, then leaned back. The engine noise filled the space, constant, heavy, like a pressure on the chest. At the front, Ashley moved through the aisle with measured steps. Service had begun, carts rolling, plastic wheels against carpet. A small ritual of control, coffee, juice, water, smiles that didn't reach the eyes. She stopped at row 33, served a man in a business suit, orange juice. Extra ice, of course. Her tone sophisticated, professional, polished. The version of herself she reserved for people she approved of. Then she moved forward. Row 34. Evelyn raised her hand. Not high, just enough. Excuse me, she said softly. Ashley looked straight ahead, kept walking. Evelyn's hand stayed raised for a second longer, then lowered. The cart moved past her, skipped her row entirely. The man beside her didn't react. The teenager didn't notice. The moment passed, or at least, that's how it looked. 2 rows back, Robert saw everything. His fingers curled against his armrest, then relaxed, then curled again. He leaned forward, raised his voice just slightly. Mom. Ashley stopped, turned slowly. Yes, my wife asked for water. Ashley looked at Evelyn, then back at Robert. Service proceeds from front to back, she said. Calm, controlled. You'll be served when we reach your section. Her tone made it sound reasonable. It wasn't. Robert held her gaze. Just for a second. Long enough to register something. Not anger, not even frustration. Something steadier, something harder to dismiss. She needs it for medication, he said. Ashley smiled. Thin. Practiced. People say that all the time. Then she turned, kept moving. The cart rolled forward, away. Jessica followed behind with the second cart. She slowed near Evelyn's row, looked down, saw the pill bottle still in Evelyn's hand, saw the dryness in her lips, the slight tremor in her fingers. Jessica reached for a cup. Water. Simple. Necessary. Mitchell. Ashley's voice cut through the aisle without turning. Jessica froze. That section gets served after premium. Standard order. Jessica hesitated, her hand still on the cup. Then she placed it back. Moved forward. The cart followed. Evelyn watched it go. Not surprised, just tired. She swallowed again. Nothing there. Her throat felt tight, dry. She leaned her head back, closed her eyes. Not to escape, to hold herself together. A few rows ahead, a man shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. He glanced back, just briefly, then looked away. A woman across the aisle pulled out her phone, pretended to scroll, but her camera lens angled slightly, capturing, recording. Moments like this don't stay private anymore. They travel, quietly at first. Then all at once, Sophia's video had crossed the threshold, 10,000 views, then 20, then more. Comments stacked faster than she could read. This is wrong. Where is the airline? This is discrimination. People started tagging accounts, news outlets, advocacy groups, airline pages. The algorithm didn't care about context. It cared about engagement. And this was engaging. Back in the cabin, the air felt thicker, not physically, emotionally, a pressure building, unspoken, unacknowledged, but present. Evelyn opened her eyes again. The teenager beside her had lowered his music slightly. Not off, but quieter. He glanced at her, just once, then reached into his backpack, pulled out a small pack of crackers. He held it out. You want some? His voice awkward, uncertain. Evelyn looked at him, really looked, a child, trying, in a space where those chose not to. She smiled. Soft. Thank you, sweetheart. She took one, broke it slowly. Small bites. Careful. Not because she needed to, because she had learned to take up as little space as possible. 2 rows back, Robert saw that too. The cracker. The small kindness. His chest tightened, not from anger, from something deeper. Gratitude, mixed with something else, something heavier. At the front, Ashley checked her phone briefly. A habit, a reflex. Notifications blinked. She ignored them. For now, work first. Control first. She moved through the cabin again, checking seat belts, scanning faces, everything in order, except something had shifted. People weren't looking away as quickly anymore. Eyes lingered, just a fraction longer. Phone stayed up. Not hidden, not completely, but enough. Enough to change the atmosphere. In first class, a woman in seat 1C watched everything. Dr. Laura Bennett, emergency physician. 47. Used to pressure, used to reading people. She had seen Evelyn earlier. The tremor, the shallow breathing, the delayed response. Signs. Clear. Simple. Ignored. She unbuckled her seatbelt. Stood. Walked toward the back. Ashley noticed immediately. Mom, please return to your seat. Laura didn't stop. That woman is showing signs of stress-induced hypertension, she said. Calm, direct. She needs water and monitoring. Ashley stepped into the aisle, blocking. She's fine. No. Laura met her eyes. She's not. Ashley's smile tightened. People exaggerate conditions all the time. Laura didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. I'm a physician, and I'm telling you she needs care. The cabin listened, not openly, but enough. Enough to feel the shift. Jessica stood near the galley, frozen, watching. Her heart pounded, fast, too fast. She looked at Ashley, then at Evelyn, then at the cup of water in her hand, still waiting for permission, for courage, for something. Ashley turned slightly, ending the conversation. Return to your seat, Mom. We'll handle it. Laura didn't move. No, you're not handling it. You're ignoring it. The words landed clean, no anger, just truth. And truth is harder to deflect. Ashley's control slipped, just a fraction. Jessica saw it, felt it, that small crack, that opening. She stepped forward, held out the cup. Here you go, Mom. Her voice shook, but she didn't pull back. Evelyn looked up, surprised, grateful. She took the cup with both hands. Careful, like something fragile. She drank slowly, small sips, but each one mattered. Each one brought her back. Ashley turned sharply. I didn't authorize that. Jessica met her eyes, just for a second. She needs it. Silence. Heavy. Then Ashley looked away, not because she agreed, because she had lost that moment. Just that moment, but moments matter. They build, they stack, they change things. 2 rows back, Robert exhaled, long, controlled. His shoulders dropped slightly. Not relief, not yet, but something close. The plane continued forward, 30,000 feet above ground, contained, pressurized, but inside, something was shifting. Not loud, not explosive, but steady, like pressure building behind a closed door. And at the front of the cabin, Ashley Carter adjusted her uniform again. Still perfect, still controlled. But now, there were eyes on her, more than before, more than she realized. And somewhere far above them, a phone buzzed again. Daniel Johnson glanced down. Another notification. A video. He tapped it, just for a second. The screen lit up. An elderly couple. A voice. Sharp, dismissive. Step back. First class isn't for people like you. Daniel's expression didn't change. Not yet. But his eyes. His eyes sharpened, just slightly. And for the first time, something inside him shifted. The cabin didn't return to normal, only pretended to. The engines hummed the same. The lights stayed soft. The carts kept moving. But something had changed in the air. Something people could feel even if they didn't name it. Eyes lingered now. Not long. Just long enough. Ashley felt it. Not directly. Not in a way she would admit. But she noticed the difference. The slight delay when she spoke. The hesitation in responses. The way conversations lowered when she passed. Control was still there, but thinner, more fragile. She pushed the cart forward again. Smile back in place. Voice smooth. Chicken or pasta? Routine. Predictable. Safe. She reached row 34 again. Evelyn held the cup of water in both hands, almost empty now. Her breathing had steadied, not perfect, but better. The teenager beside her sat quieter, headphones still on, but one side slipped off his ear, listening now, not just to music. Ashley stopped at the row, looked directly at Evelyn.
Did you want to purchase a meal?
Her tone was polite, but there was something under it, a test. Evelyn blinked slowly. I thought meals were included. Ashley's smile returned. Sharp, premium meals are included. Basic economy meals are available for purchase. The words sounded official, structured, but they weren't true, at least not for this flight. The man beside Evelyn shifted, suddenly interested, watching. The teenager glanced between them. Evelyn reached for her purse, slow, careful, her fingers still stiff. She opened it, looked for her wallet, the movement small, but heavy, because this wasn't about food. It was about being told you didn't belong. Again. Jessica stepped forward before Evelyn could speak. All meals are included on flights over 3 hours. Her voice was quiet, but clear. Ashley turned her head, slow, deliberate. Excuse me. Jessica held her ground. Company policy. Ashley's eyes narrowed. For a second, the mask slipped. Not completely, but enough. Enough for people to see. The tension pulled tight, like a wire stretched too far. Jessica placed the tray down in front of Evelyn. Chicken or pasta. Her voice softer now. Evelyn looked at her, then at the tray, then back at her. Chicken, please. Jessica nodded, set the tray gently, with care, with intention, like it mattered because it did. Ashley stood there for a moment longer, then moved on. But the damage was done, not to Evelyn, to her. Control had slipped again, and this time more people saw it. 2 rows back, Robert watched everything. His shoulders eased slightly, not relief, but something close. He leaned back, closed his eyes for a second, then opened them. Forward, always forward. At the front of the plane, Ashley stepped into the galley, her movements sharper now, more precise, too precise. She grabbed her phone, checked it. Notifications flooded the screen, mentions, messages, tags, her name, her face. She frowned, opened one, a video, grainy at first, then clearer, her voice, her words. Step back. First class isn't for people like you. Her expression tightened. She scrolled. More videos, different angles, different voices, same moment, same words, her words. Her chest rose slightly, faster now. She locked the phone, put it away. No, not here, not now. She straightened her shoulders, adjusted her uniform. Control. She stepped back into the aisle. The cabin felt different. More eyes, more phones, less silence. A man in row 23 spoke up, loud enough. Is that video about this flight? His wife nudged him, stop, but it was too late. People turned. Not all, but enough. The question hung there. Ashley ignored it, kept moving. But ignoring something doesn't make it disappear. It just gives it space to grow. In first class, Laura Bennett typed quickly on her phone. Her fingers moved with purpose, direct, focused. Currently on flight 447, witnessing possible medical neglect and passenger mistreatment. Documenting in real time, she hit post. Within seconds, replies began. Fast. Doctors, journalists, passengers, all connecting pieces, patterns forming, stories aligning. Back in row 34, Evelyn ate slowly. Small bites, careful. The food wasn't the point, but it helped. It grounded her. She looked to her left, the teenager.
What's your name, honey?
He hesitated, then answered, Ethan. Evelyn smiled. I'm Evelyn. He nodded. Nice to meet you. His voice quieter now, more aware. She nodded. You too. Simple, human, real. 2 rows back, Robert helped the woman with the baby again. He showed her how to angle the bottle, how to ease the pressure. The baby calmed. The woman sighed. Relief. Thank you. He nodded. You're doing fine. She smiled, tired, but grateful. Moments like that don't fix everything, but they remind you that not everything is broken. At the front, Kevin stood still, watching, his hands clasped in front of him. He looked at Ashley, then at Jessica, then at the passengers. Something shifted in him, not sudden, not dramatic, but steady. Like a line being crossed, quietly, irreversibly. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, hesitated, then pressed record. This is Kevin Brooks, he said quietly. Skyline Airlines, Flight 447. His voice shook slightly, but he didn't stop. The reports you're seeing are accurate. These passengers were moved from first class without valid reason. He paused, swallowed, and I didn't stop it. The words hung there, heavy, real. He lowered the phone, but didn't delete the video, didn't hide it, didn't pretend. Around him, people watched, not shocked, not surprised, just present because something was happening. And they were part of it now, whether they wanted to be or not. At 30,000 feet, Daniel Johnson leaned forward in his seat, the video still playing. His parents, no mistake, his mother's hands, his father's posture, even from a distance, he knew. His jaw tightened, not visibly, but enough. His assistant looked over. Everything okay? Daniel didn't answer immediately. He replayed the video. Once, twice, then again. Each time slower, each detail sharper, each moment clearer. Then he set the phone down, carefully, too carefully. No, everything is not okay. His voice was calm, controlled, but under it, something else, something building. He reached for the call button. Get me the airline operations line, now. The assistant froze for half a second, then moved, quick, efficient, because tone matters. And that tone meant something. Back in the cabin, Ashley Carter continued her service, still moving, still speaking, still performing, but now every movement was being watched, every word recorded, every decision documented. And for the first time since this began, she wasn't the one in control. Not really. Not anymore. Because power, real power, doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself. And sometimes it waits until the moment you think you've already won. The call connected faster than expected. Daniel didn't wait for greetings. Put me through the flight operations for flight 447. His voice was low, even, but it carried weight, the kind that doesn't need volume. A pause on the other end. Sir, may I ask who is calling? Daniel leaned slightly. You can ask, or you can connect me. Another pause. Shorter this time. Please hold. The line clicked. Silence. Not empty. Tense. His assistant watched him carefully. She had seen him negotiate deals worth hundreds of millions. She had seen him sit across from people twice his age and walk away with control. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was personal. Back in the cabin, the atmosphere tightened again. Not loud, not explosive, just heavier, like a storm building behind closed doors. Ashley moved through the aisle one more time, but her steps were sharper now, less fluid. Her eyes flicked more often, checking, measuring. Something didn't feel right. She couldn't name it, but she felt it. Phones, too many phones, not hidden anymore, not subtle. People weren't pretending as much. A man in row 27 held his phone up openly, recording. A woman across the aisle whispered to her neighbor, "That's her." Ashley caught the word, her. She kept walking, didn't react, but her jaw tightened. Jessica stood near the galley again, still, watching, her hands slightly damp. She wiped them against her uniform, tried to steady herself. She had crossed the line, small but real, and once you cross it, you don't go back. Kevin stood a few feet away, his phone still in his hand. Screen dark now, but the video saved. He looked at Jessica. She looked back. No words, but understanding. Something had shifted between them, between everyone. 2 rows ahead, Evelyn finished her meal. Slow, careful. She set the tray aside. Her hands rested on her lap again, but now they were steadier, not perfect, but steady. She turned her head slightly toward Robert, just enough. He saw her, nodded, a small exchange, but full, years of trust in one glance. I'm okay. I know. The engine noise filled the silence again, constant, relentless, like time itself. At the front, Ashley stepped into the galley again. This time, she didn't check her phone right away. She stood there, breathing. 1, 2, 3. Then she pulled it out, unlocked it. The screen exploded. Notifications stacked over notifications. Messages, mentions, tags, her name, her face, everywhere. She opened one. A news account. Breaking. Allegations of discrimination on Skyline Airlines, Flight 447. Video attached. Her video, she scrolled. More. Another. Passenger documentation. Possible medical neglect reported. Another. Hashtag trending. Elderly dignity matters. Her hand tightened around the phone. Her breath changed. Faster. Shallower. No, this wasn't real. This couldn't be real. This was just social media. Just noise. Just exaggeration. She locked the phone. Put it down. harder than she meant to. The sound echoed slightly in the small galley. Jessica flinched. Kevin looked up. Ashley straightened. "They're overreacting," she said. No one answered. "It's being taken out of context." Still nothing. Her voice sharpened. "We follow procedure." Jessica swallowed, her throat dry. "That's not true." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Ashley turned slowly. "What did you say?" Jessica's heart pounded. Loud. Too loud. But she didn't step back. "That's not true," she repeated. "They had valid seats." Silence. Heavy. Kevin looked between them. Ashley's eyes narrowed.
You want to be careful.
She said quietly. Jessica held her gaze. "So do you." Another silence. Longer. Thicker. Then Ashley turned away. Conversation over, at least on the surface. But something had broken. Something that wouldn't reset. Back in the cabin, a man stood up. Row 14. Gray hair. Straight posture. He didn't look angry. He looked certain. "I've been flying for 40 years, he said. His voice carried. Not loud, but clear. "And I've never seen anything like this." Heads turned. Not all, but enough. Ashley stepped out of the galley. "Sir, please return to your seat." He didn't move. Those people were treated wrong. Ashley's smile returned. Tighter now. Controlled. "If you have a concern, you can file a complaint after landing." He shook his head. "No, that's how this keeps happening." The words landed. Simple, direct. A few passengers nodded, not openly, but enough. The shift continued, quiet, but undeniable. 2 rows ahead, Evelyn listened. She didn't turn, didn't react, but she heard every word, every tone. She had lived long enough to recognize moments like this. Moments when silence starts to break. Moments when people choose. Stay quiet or speak. She closed her eyes briefly, not from weakness, from something else. Something like relief, not because it was over, because she wasn't alone anymore. 2 rows back, Robert leaned forward again. His eyes moved across the cabin. Different now, not searching for help, not expecting it, just noticing. People, real people, not systems, not roles. People, and some of them were choosing to see. At 30,000 feet, Daniel Johnson stood up. The call had ended, short, direct. His expression didn't change, but his posture did. Straighter, more defined. The assistant watched him.
What are you going to do?
Daniel looked out the window. Clouds stretched endlessly. White, calm, peaceful. A sharp contrast to everything else. Then he looked back. "I'm going to meet that plane." His voice was quiet, but final. Every word placed carefully. Every word carrying consequence. Back in the cabin, Ashley Carter resumed her position. Front of the aisle. Back straight. Face composed. But the room had changed. She felt it now. Couldn't ignore it. Too many eyes. Too many phones. Too many people no longer willing to pretend. Control wasn't gone, but it was slipping, piece by piece, and she knew it, even if she wouldn't admit it, because deep down, under the uniform, under the training, under the certainty, there was something else, a realization, slow, unwelcome, but real, that this wasn't going away, and for the first time since the gate. Ashley Carter didn't feel powerful. She felt watched. And somewhere above the clouds, Daniel Johnson closed his eyes for a moment, not to rest, to focus, because when he opened them again, everything would begin to change. The captain's voice came over the intercom again, calm, measured, controlled. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently cruising at 30,000 feet. We may experience light turbulence ahead. Please remain seated." The words were routine, but nothing in that cabin felt routine anymore. The air carried tension now, not loud, not chaotic, just present, like something waiting. Ashley stood at the front, hands clasped in front of her, still, watching, trying to read the room. But the room was no longer something she could read. Too many variables, too many eyes, too many people no longer playing their assigned roles. A man in row 14 leaned back into his seat. He didn't look away this time. He kept his eyes forward, at her. Others followed, not all, but enough. That was the difference. 2 rows ahead, Evelyn adjusted her position, slow, her body still stiff, but the sharp edge of discomfort had softened slightly. The water helped, the food helped, but something else helped more, the shift, the quiet support around her. She turned her head again. Robert, still there, still watching, still steady. She gave him a small nod. He returned it. That was enough. For now, in row 36, the baby stirred again, a soft whimper, then louder. The mother looked down, panic rising. "I'm sorry," she whispered again, always apologizing, always shrinking. Robert leaned over slightly. "Try letting him swallow again." "Bottle." She nodded quickly, fumbled, then followed his lead. The baby's cries softened, then stopped. The relief in her face was immediate. "Thank you." Robert smiled, gentle. "You're doing better than you think." Her eyes filled for a second. Then she looked away, holding it together, like everyone else. At the front, Kevin shifted his weight. His mind was moving faster now, connecting things, understanding the video, the comments, the reactions. This wasn't going to stay on this plane. This wasn't going to disappear. He looked at Ashley, really looked, for the first time. Not as a supervisor, not as authority, as a person. And what he saw wasn't control anymore. It was pressure, cracks forming, small but real. Jessica stood beside him, arms folded tightly, not defensive, protective of something, of herself, of the choice she had made. She glanced at Kevin, then at Ashley, then back at the cabin. Her breathing slowed, steady now, resolved. She had crossed that line, and she wasn't going back. Ashley stepped forward again, voice raised slightly, just enough to reclaim space. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We will continue service shortly." Her tone was firm, professional, but underneath it, a hint of strain. People listened, but not the same way, not automatically, not blindly. Compliance had shifted into observation, and that changed everything. A phone rang quietly in row 22. The passenger glanced down, silenced it quickly, but the screen stayed lit. A message. "Look at this." A link, the same video. Different angle, different caption. Same story, spreading, faster now. Outside the plane, inside the world, at the same time. At the front, Ashley's phone buzzed again. She ignored it. Then it buzzed again. And again. Relentless. She pulled it out. Just for a second, her thumb moved. Opened one message. Corporate, urgent, call immediately. Her stomach tightened. Not fear, not yet, but something close. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. Uncertainty. She locked the phone, looked up. The cabin stared back, not all, but enough. She slipped the phone into her pocket. Harder this time, more deliberate, as if pushing the problem away, as if distance could undo what had already happened. It couldn't. At 30,000 feet, Daniel Johnson stood near the small table in his jet. The call had ended minutes ago, but its impact remained clear, precise. They tried to explain. Procedures, policies, misunderstandings. He listened, didn't interrupt, didn't argue, just listened. And then he asked one question. "Were my parents removed from first class?" Silence. Then, yes, that was all he needed. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten, didn't react. He simply ended the call. His assistant stood nearby, waiting, watching. He turned to her. "Get me ground coordination in Atlanta. I want that plane met at the gate." His voice didn't change, but something inside it did. A line had been crossed, and now everything moved forward. Back in the cabin, the turbulence hit. Not violent, but enough. The plane shook slightly, a ripple through the seats, a few gasps, a few tightened grips on armrests. Evelyn held on, her fingers firm, her breath steady. She didn't panic. She had lived through worse. Robert leaned back, eyes forward, still watching her, always watching her. The plane steadied. The moment passed, but it added something, a reminder. That control is temporary. That stability can shift in seconds. Ashley felt it too. The shake, the shift, the loss of perfect balance. She adjusted her stance, recentered. But the metaphor wasn't lost.
Even if she wouldn't name it.
In row 14, the man spoke again. Quieter this time, but clearer. "This isn't right." No one responded out loud, but heads nodded. Small, subtle, enough. A woman across the aisle leaned toward him. "You should report it." He nodded. Already did. She held up her phone. So did I. The ripple continued. Quiet, but spreading like cracks in glass. Not visible at first, until suddenly they are. Kevin saw it. Jessica saw it. Ashley felt it. Evelyn sensed it. Robert understood it. And none of them could stop it. Because once people decide to see,
Really see.
they don't unsee. The plane moved forward, miles passing beneath them, distance shrinking, time closing, towards something inevitable. At the front, Ashley Carter stood still. uniform perfect, posture straight, face composed. The foundation was shifting, slow, but certain, because this wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a story, and stories. When they catch fire, don't stop until they burn through everything in their path. The cabin lights dimmed slightly, not enough to change visibility, just enough to signal the second half of the flight. Time moving forward, whether anyone was ready or not. Ashley stood near the front, hands resting on the service cart, still, but not relaxed. Her shoulders were tighter now, her breathing more controlled, too controlled, like someone holding something in. Her phone buzzed again. She didn't reach for it immediately. She waited. As if ignoring it might make it stop, it didn't. She pulled it out, unlocked it. A new message from operations. Call the cockpit immediately. Her fingers froze for a fraction of a second. Then she locked the screen again, put the phone away. No, not yet. Not in front of them. Control, always control. But control requires time, and time was running thinner now. In row 34, Evelyn shifted again. Her back pressed into the seat, her legs stiff, but her face calm. She wasn't looking at Ashley anymore. She wasn't looking at anyone. Her focus had turned inward, not retreat, not surrender, something else. A kind of quiet strength, the kind that builds over decades, the kind that doesn't need to be seen to exist. She reached into her purse again, pulled out a folded piece of paper, old, soft at the edges, worn from being handled too many times. She unfolded it slowly, carefully. A photograph, faded but clear enough. Younger version of herself, standing beside Robert, smiling, different time, different world, but the same people. She looked at it, not with sadness, with memory, with perspective. Then she folded it again, placed it back, closed her purse, and lifted her head. 2 rows back, Robert saw the motion, didn't see the photo, but understood the meaning. He leaned back, his hands rested on his knees, open, relaxed, not clenched anymore. The anger had shifted, not gone, transformed into something steadier, more focused, more dangerous in its calm. At the front, Kevin stepped closer to Jessica, quiet, close enough that no one else could hear. They're calling her from operations. Jessica nodded. I know. He glanced toward Ashley. She's not answering. Jessica's eyes followed. She saw it now. The hesitation, the delay. That wasn't part of Ashley's usual rhythm. Something was off. Something was breaking. Passengers were no longer pretending. Phones were out openly now. Not hidden, not subtle. A man in row 20 held his phone at chest level, recording, not even trying to disguise it. A woman beside him spoke quietly into her own phone. Yes, I'm on the flight. It's exactly like the video. Her voice carried just enough for others to hear, enough for the reality to settle in. This wasn't contained anymore. It wasn't just inside this plane. It was outside, everywhere. Ashley stepped forward again, her voice sharper now, more force behind it. Ladies and gentlemen, I need everyone to remain seated and refrain from recording. The words hit the cabin, flat, ineffective. No one moved. No one lowered their phones. The power behind the words was gone, or at least diminished. A man near the aisle spoke up. It's a public space. Ashley turned toward him, her expression tight. This is a private aircraft. He shook his head. No, this is a commercial flight. Silence. Again, heavy. Ashley held his gaze for a second, 2. Then she turned away, not because she agreed, because she couldn't win that exchange. Not here, not now. Jessica watched it all, the shift, the loss, clear now, undeniable. She stepped forward slightly, addressing no one, but speaking anyway. If anyone needs water or assistance, please let me know. Her voice was steady, stronger than before, different. Passengers responded, small requests, quiet, but real. She moved through the aisle, helping, serving, doing the job, the way it should have been done from the start. Kevin followed, not saying anything, just present, available. The dynamic had changed, not officially, but in practice. Ashley stood alone at the front now, still in uniform, still in position, but isolated, not physically, socially, emotionally. Power had shifted, without announcement, without permission, and there was nothing she could do to pull it back. At 30,000 feet, Daniel Johnson stood at the front of his jet, looking out the window, clouds stretching endlessly, calm, peaceful. deceptive. His assistant approached quietly. They confirmed. Daniel didn't turn. Say it. Your parents were moved from first class at the gate by a flight attendant named Ashley Carter. He nodded once. Small, controlled. What about the captain? Not informed. His jaw tightened, not visibly, but enough. He turned now, his eyes sharper, focused. This isn't just a mistake. His voice was low. It's a failure. Systemic, precise, and it stops today. The assistant nodded, already understanding because tone matters, and that tone meant consequences. Back in the cabin, the tension reached a new level, not louder, but denser, harder to ignore. The plane moved steadily forward, but inside, everything was shifting, row by row, person by person, choice by choice. A woman in row 18 stood up, not dramatic, not loud. She simply stood, turned toward the back, walked slowly, until she reached Evelyn. She leaned down slightly. Are you okay? Evelyn looked up, surprised, then nodded.
Yes.
The woman smiled, soft. If you need anything, I'm a nurse. Evelyn's eyes softened. Thank you. Simple, but powerful, because it broke something. The isolation, the silence, others noticed. A man across the aisle shifted, leaning forward, just a little, watching, listening, present. Robert saw it all, felt it, the shift, not just against them, for them. He closed his eyes briefly, not in exhaustion, in recognition of something rare, people choosing to stand, to see, to care. And that changes everything. At the front, Ashley Carter finally reached for her phone again, her hand less steady now. She unlocked it, opened the message, call immediately. She hesitated, then pressed dial. The line rang, once, twice, then connected. This is Carter on flight 447, her voice controlled, but tighter now. The response came quickly, firm, direct. We need to speak to the captain. Ashley's grip tightened. Why? Pause. Then, because this flight is being monitored. The words landed, hard, clear, final. Ashley didn't respond. For the first time since this began, she didn't have an answer. She looked up at the cabin, at the passengers, at the phones, at the eyes, and for the first time, she understood. This wasn't her space anymore. This wasn't her moment. This wasn't under her control, not even close, because somewhere above them, power had already shifted, and it was coming. Fast, relentless, unavoidable. The captain answered on the second ring, calm, direct, professional. Captain Reynolds speaking. Ashley stepped slightly deeper into the galley, lowering her voice. This is Carter. Operations is requesting to speak with you. A pause. Short. Controlled. Understood. His tone didn't change, but something behind it did. I'll contact him directly. The line clicked. Ashley stood still for a moment, her hand still holding the phone. Then she lowered it. Slow. Too slow. Because her body was catching up to something her mind hadn't fully accepted yet. This was no longer internal. This had moved beyond her, beyond the cabin, beyond the aircraft. The system was aware, fully aware. She stepped back into the aisle, her posture straight, her face composed. But her eyes were scanning now, not in control, searching, trying to measure damage, trying to assess, trying to understand how far this had gone. In row 34, Evelyn felt it. Not the words, not the call, the shift. Something deeper, like the air had changed again. She looked forward, then slightly back. Robert met her eyes, a longer look this time. Not just reassurance, something else, something unspoken, something approaching resolution. Not yet, but close. 2 rows behind, the mother with the baby adjusted her position. The child slept now, peaceful. Finally, she looked at Robert. You ever get used to this? Flying. He smiled faintly. You get used to parts of it. She nodded, then glanced forward, at Evelyn, at the aisle, at the tension. I don't think anyone gets used to that part. Robert followed her gaze. No, you don't, and you shouldn't. His voice carried just enough. Not loud, but enough. Enough for those nearby to hear. Enough for the message to land. At the front, Jessica continued moving through the aisle, helping, checking, responding, not waiting for instruction anymore. Her movements were smoother now. More confident, not because she felt safe,
Because she had accepted the risk. And once you accept that,
clarity comes. Kevin stayed close, not speaking much, but present, watching, learning, changing. A man in row 19 raised his voice, not aggressive, just clear. What happens when we land? No one answered immediately. The question hung there, heavy, real. Ashley heard it. Of course she did. She turned, faced the cabin, her voice measured. We will proceed with normal deplaning procedures. A few people exchanged glances. Normal. The word felt wrong, out of place, disconnected from everything that had just happened. The man shook his head slightly. That's not what I meant. Ashley held her posture. If there are concerns, they can be addressed through customer service channels. A woman across the aisle spoke up. You mean after everything disappears? The tone wasn't hostile. It was tired, knowing. Ashley didn't respond because there was no answer that would hold. Not anymore. At 30,000 feet, Daniel Johnson sat down again. His hands rested on the table, still, flat, controlled. His assistant stood nearby. They're coordinating with Atlanta ground now. He nodded. Good. His eyes moved back to the screen. The video played again. Different angle, closer this time. His mother's hands, his father's face, calm, contained, dignified, even in that moment.
Even in that treatment.
Daniel exhaled slowly. Not anger, not yet. Something colder, something more precise. Accountability. Back in the cockpit, Captain Reynolds adjusted his headset. His co-pilot glanced at him. What's going on? Reynolds didn't answer immediately. He looked at the cabin monitor. Small screen, grainy, but enough. He saw the aisle, the passengers, the tension, the phones. He had flown for 22 years. He knew what normal looked like. This wasn't it. Operations is involved, he said finally. The co-pilot nodded. That says enough. Reynolds leaned forward, pressed a button. Cabin, this is the captain. Ashley picked up immediately. Yes, Captain, I need you to ensure all passengers are treated according to company policy. The words were simple, neutral, but the emphasis was clear. Ashley's grip tightened on the receiver. We are following procedure. A pause, longer this time. Then Reynolds spoke again. No, you're not. The line went silent. Ashley didn't respond. Couldn't, because for the first time, authority above her had spoken. Clearly, directly, without ambiguity, and it didn't support her. She lowered the receiver, her hands slightly unsteady now. Not visible to most, but visible to those watching closely, and many were watching closely now. In row 14, the man leaned back again, a small exhale. He had heard enough. He didn't need more. Around him, others shifted, subtle but coordinated, an unspoken agreement. This was no longer just observation. This was accountability. Shared, distributed, real. Evelyn sat quietly, her hands resting on her lap, her breathing steady, her eyes open. She wasn't looking down anymore. She was looking forward, at the aisle, at the space, at the moment. She had lived long enough to recognize something rare, not justice, not yet, but the beginning of it. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. 2 rows back, Robert leaned forward slightly. Just enough, his voice low. Evelyn. She turned her head. Yes, you all right. She held his gaze. Longer this time. I am. A pause. Then she added, we're all right. The word mattered. We, not I, not alone, together. Even separated, even placed apart. Still together, always. At the front, Ashley Carter stood still. No cart, no script, no movement. Just standing. Her mind moving faster now. Trying to catch up. Trying to reframe. Trying to regain something that was already gone. Because control, real control, doesn't come from position, or uniform, or authority. It comes from trust. And that had been lost completely, irretrievably, and she knew it now. Even if she wouldn't say it, even if she couldn't admit it, she knew. Because the cabin no longer responded to her. It responded around her, through her, past her. And somewhere far ahead, on the ground, at the gate, something was waiting, not loud, not dramatic, but final. Because when accountability arrives, it doesn't ask permission, it doesn't negotiate, it simply arrives. The descent began without ceremony. A slight tilt, a subtle shift in engine tone. The kind of change frequent flyers feel before they hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our initial descent into Atlanta. The captain's voice returned, calm, even, as if nothing extraordinary had happened, as if this was just another flight. But no one in that cabin believed that anymore. Seat backs moved upright, tray tables folded, belts tightened. But the silence was different now. Not passive, focused, anticipating. Ashley stood at the front again, hands clasped, back straight, her uniform still perfect. But the person inside it had changed, not visibly, not to someone who wasn't paying attention, but to those who were, and many were. Her eyes moved through the cabin, not scanning anymore, avoiding, brief glances, quick corrections. She didn't hold eye contact now, not with anyone, because eye contact invites judgment, and she could feel it everywhere. Jessica moved through the aisle one last time, checking belts, offering quiet assistance, her voice softer than usual, but steady. She paused at Evelyn's row, bent slightly. Are you okay for landing? Evelyn looked at her. Yes, a small smile followed. Thank you. Jessica nodded, held her gaze for a second longer, then moved on. Kevin followed behind. He stopped at Robert's row. Anything you need, sir. Robert shook his head. I'm good. A pause. Then Robert added, you did the right thing. Kevin blinked, caught off guard. His throat tightened. He nodded once, then moved forward. That one sentence stayed with him. He carried it like something fragile, because it mattered more than he expected. At the front, Ashley's phone buzzed again. She didn't ignore it this time. She couldn't. She pulled it out. Read the message. Security will meet the aircraft. Her breath caught, just for a second. Then she exhaled slowly, controlled, but the word stayed. Security. Not a suggestion, not a possibility, a certainty. She locked the phone, her hand steadier now, but only because the outcome was no longer uncertain. It was fixed, inevitable. And that kind of clarity, even when it's bad, brings a strange kind of calm. In row 14, the man leaned toward the aisle, spoke quietly to the woman beside him. It's happening. She nodded. I know. Their phones rested on their laps, screens still glowing, comments still flowing, updates still coming in. The story had moved beyond them now, beyond this plane, beyond this moment, but they were still inside it, living it. 2 rows ahead, Evelyn adjusted her seatbelt, pulled it tighter, her movement slow, intentional. She looked out the window, clouds passing beneath them, soft, endless, unaffected. She rested her head back, closed her eyes for a moment, not in exhaustion, in reflection. Then she opened them again, ready. 2 rows back, Robert sat upright, hands resting on his thighs, his gaze steady, forward, toward the front, toward the exit, toward what came next. He wasn't tense anymore, not the way he had been. The anger had settled, the uncertainty had passed. Now there was something else. Resolve, clear, quiet, unshakable. The plane dipped slightly, the city appeared below, lights, lines, movement, Atlanta, closer now. At 30,000 feet, Daniel Johnson's jet had already begun its descent, faster, more direct. His eyes stayed on the screen, not watching the video anymore. He had seen enough. Now he was thinking, processing, planning. His assistant stood beside him. Ground confirmed. They're ready. Daniel nodded. Good. His voice remained low, measured, but every word carried weight. No press, no statements, not yet. The assistant nodded. Understood. This wasn't about appearances, not yet. This was about something else, something more immediate. Back in the cockpit, Captain Reynolds adjusted the controls, his movements precise, familiar. But his mind wasn't entirely on the descent. He had seen the monitor. He had heard operations. He understood. This wasn't just a difficult passenger situation. This was something bigger, something that would follow the flight long after it landed. He glanced at his co-pilot.
Let's keep this smooth.
The co-pilot nodded, already focused. Because when everything else gets complicated, you hold on to what you can control. The landing, the safety, the basics. Back in the cabin, the tension reached its peak. Not loud, not chaotic, but sharp. Defined, like the moment before a door opens, before a truth becomes visible. Ashley Carter stood at the front, facing the aisle, facing the passengers, facing what she had created. And for the first time, she didn't try to control it. She just stood there, waiting. The wheels lowered, a mechanical hum beneath the floor. The sound carried through the cabin, familiar. Ground approaching, reality approaching. The plane touched down, a slight jolt. Rubber meeting runway, speed decreasing, engines reversing. A long exhale moved through the cabin, not relief, release. The kind that comes when something unavoidable finally arrives. They taxied in silence. No chatter, No casual conversation, just quiet, focused, present. At the gate, ground crew waited. Not usual, not routine. A small group, still positioned, watching the aircraft approach. Daniel Johnson stood a few yards back, not in a suit, not surrounded by attention, just a man in a simple jacket, hands in his pockets, eyes fixed on the plane, no expression. But everything inside him was moving, fast, precise, controlled. The aircraft stopped, seatbelt signs still on. No one stood, no one rushed, for once. Everyone waited because they knew this wasn't a normal arrival. The door opened, a rush of air, a shift in pressure. A threshold crossed. Ashley stepped forward, then stopped, because standing there, at the gate, was the one person she had not expected, the one person she had not considered, the one person who changed everything. Daniel Johnson didn't move, didn't speak. He just stood there, looking at her, and in that look, everything became clear. No one moved at first. The open aircraft door framed him like a still image. Daniel Johnson stood there, calm, silent, unshaken. The noise of the airport hummed behind him, distant announcements, rolling luggage, engines idling. But inside the cabin, everything narrowed. Just him, just her. Ashley Carter felt it hit her chest before her mind caught up. Not fear, not yet. Recognition, the kind that arrives too late. Her fingers tightened slightly against the metal handle beside the door. Her posture stayed perfect, but her breathing changed. Shorter, shallower. Daniel stepped forward, slow, measured, each step soft against the floor. No rush, no anger in his face, which made it worse, much worse. Security stood a few feet behind him, still, waiting, not leading, not interrupting, because this was not their moment. This was his. Ashley swallowed. Her voice came out controlled, professional. "Sir, welcome." The words felt rehearsed, empty. Daniel stopped just inside the doorway, close enough now. He looked at her. Not over her, not through her, at her. Direct, clear. "Do you remember what you said?" His voice was low, even, but it landed hard. Ashley's lips parted slightly. Her mind moved fast. Too fast. Searching for something to hold. Protocol, authority, anything. "I was following airline policy." The sentence came out smooth, automatic, like muscle memory. Daniel tilted his head slightly, a small movement, but it carried weight. Policy. He repeated the word, then paused, let it sit. Behind him, a few passengers leaned forward, watching, listening. The entire cabin had become an audience. Not noisy, not chaotic.
Just present.
Daniel continued. "Policy does not give you the right to decide someone's worth." The words were simple, but sharp. Ashley felt heat rise in her face. She kept her chin level. "Sir, I made a judgment based on," he raised his hand. Not aggressive, just enough to stop her. "You made a judgment." He stepped closer. Now they stood just a few feet apart, close enough for her to see the details. The faint lines at the corner of his eyes, the steadiness in them. Not anger. Control. "You saw someone," he said quietly, "and you decided he didn't belong." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Ashley's throat tightened. Her training told her to respond, to regain control. But something inside her hesitated, because for the first time, she could hear how it sounded. Not policy, not procedure. A decision, her decision. Behind them, Evelyn stood slowly, her movement careful, respectful, but intentional. She stepped into the aisle, not rushing, not forcing attention, but it shifted anyway. Eyes turned. Daniel noticed. He stepped slightly aside, giving space, without breaking the moment. Evelyn looked at Ashley, not with anger, not with triumph, just clarity. "You didn't see me." Her voice was soft, but it carried. "You saw what you expected to see." Ashley's eyes flickered, just for a second. "That was enough," Evelyn continued, "and that's the problem." A quiet breath moved through the cabin. Some passengers lowered their gaze. Others nodded slowly, because they recognized it, not just here, everywhere. Everyday moments, small decisions that reveal bigger truths. Ashley opened her mouth again, but this time, no words came because there was nothing left to defend. Daniel stepped forward once more, not toward her, past her, into the cabin. His presence shifted everything. The air itself seemed to adjust. He stopped beside Robert, looked at him. "You handled that well." Robert met his gaze, held it.
I just didn't want to stay quiet.
Daniel nodded. "That matters." He turned slightly, addressing no one and everyone at the same time. Silence protects the wrong side. The sentence landed deep because it wasn't dramatic. It was true. Kevin stood near the galley, his hands still, his eyes fixed on the scene. He stepped forward. Sir, his voice steady, but respectful. Daniel looked at him. Yes. Kevin took a breath. We tried to correct it. As soon as we understood, Daniel studied him for a moment, then nodded. And you did. A pause. That's how change starts. Not perfect, but willing. Kevin exhaled slowly, tension leaving his shoulders. Jessica stood just behind him, watching, absorbing, learning, not from a manual, from a moment. Real, unfiltered. Daniel turned back toward Ashley. She hadn't moved, still standing at the door, still holding her posture. But now, it felt different. Less like control, more like something breaking. You're going to have to face this, he said quietly. Not as a threat, as a fact. Ashley nodded, barely. Her voice when it came was softer. I understand. But even she could hear it. Understanding was just the beginning, not the end. Security stepped forward, not aggressively, just present. Ashley didn't resist, didn't argue. She stepped aside, out of the doorway, out of the role she had been holding. The cabin remained silent, watching, not celebrating, not condemning, just witnessing, because this wasn't a victory. It was a consequence and a lesson. Evelyn moved toward the exit, her steps slow, steady. She paused beside Dan, looked at him. Thank you. He shook his head slightly. You shouldn't have needed it. She smiled faintly. But I'm glad it came anyway. Then she stepped past him, into the open air, into something lighter. Robert followed, then Kevin, then Jessica. Passengers began to move, one by one. Quiet, thoughtful, carrying something with them. Not just a story, a reflection. Outside, the sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the tarmac. Daniel stood there for a moment longer, watching the last passenger step off. Then he turned, walked away. No announcement, no spotlight. Just a man leaving after doing what needed to be done. Inside the emptying cabin, the noise slowly returned. But it wasn't the same, because something had shifted, something small, something real, a reminder. That respect is not optional. That silence has weight, and that power is not in position. It's in choice. Hours later, the story spread further, across screens, across conversations, but the real impact stayed with those who were there, because they didn't just hear it. They felt it, in the quiet, in the tension, in the moment everything became clear. And maybe, just maybe, the next time they saw someone, they would look again, a little deeper, a little slower, because sometimes the biggest change starts in the smallest decision. If this story stay with you, take a like with these, subscribe for more stories that matter, and share 3 words in the comments that reflect what you believe today. Something like respect every human.